The old dome site at the ocean front is moving a step forward. Tonight there was a packed house at the Virginia Beach Convention Center.
People came to a public meeting and gave their input on what they'd like to see in that space. Chanuhar covered the meeting.
Well, that's right, David and Regina. The city has been looking for the right project for decades to fill that 10-acre lot. It's located between 18th and 20th Street off Pacific. Now, this project has gotten a lot of attention in part because Virginia Beach native and music superstar Pharrell Williams is a partner. City leaders and developers briefed residents tonight on what's next. It's one step closer to reality, a surf park and other new developments at the oceanfront.
I think it's awesome. I love it.
People who live in Virginia Beach came to the public meeting Wednesday night to learn more. Feeling Cherry is hopeful this will happen, with plans of restaurants, office and residential space, along with entertainment. She thinks it can sustain year-round interest.
So that will make it very interesting and multifunctional also for families, because I have kids, so it would be fun to come out here and spend like a couple of hours with them doing different things within that area.
Year-round attraction and innovation are important to this project. Also crucial, what residents want to see. That's why city leaders held this meeting in the first place.
We want to make sure that we haven't missed something, that early on that we've thought through things like connectivity, like the types of uses, like what people are looking for and how it sits actually in a neighborhood.
It's taken us to the next level, and having this kind of project here and make it year-round and maybe get the young ones to learn, I think it's going to be a great amenity to Virginia Beach.
People brought ideas and questions to the table, some eager to see change after the arena fell through. This project, they're optimistic after seeing renderings and 3D models. Now it's waiting for the next phase.
I think it's actually a really great idea.
All right, so next up after this, there will be studies done on entertainment, retail, overall economic impact, and also parking. The deputy city manager is estimating about $300 million will be needed for this project, but that price tag will be more realistic come May when those studies are done. And also, I was told this is expected to break ground at the end of the year if it all works out. Chanuhar, 13 News Now.
Top supervisors at the Pasquotank Correctional Institution are suspended tonight. The officials were placed on leave with pay this week. The move comes after a prison break attempt last year where 4 employees were killed. It was the deadliest breakout attempt in North Carolina's history. An outside report released last week says the prison was so understaffed that there were multiple security lapses before and after the escape attempt.
An undetermined death in Norfolk is now being investigated as a homicide. Police say they received a call about an unresponsive man inside a home on West Little Creek Road, not far from Hampton Boulevard. First responders arrived and found a 45-year-old man dead. His name has not been released. Again, detectives are classifying this as a homicide investigation. Anyone with information should call the crime line. We have more information tonight about a fire at the Hampton VA. Hospital officials tell us the mental health inpatient unit was evacuated this afternoon after heavy smoke filled the building. 20 patients were inside at the time. No patients were hurt, but 2 Hampton VA staff were treated. We're told the smoke came from a small fire that started during construction work on the roof. The fire was put out right away. The 29 patients will be moved to other locations while the unit is cleaned and inspected.
Tonight, a worker remains in critical condition after he was badly burned on the job in Suffolk. It happened at Irvin Architectural Products off Carolina Road. Suffolk Fire Marshal's office says the victim was trying to start the boiler to heat the business, but the man used gasoline, which caused a flash fire. He suffered very serious burns and was flown to Sentara Norfolk General Hospital. The owner of the business tells us the man was a temporary worker and had worked on and off there for the past 3 or 4 months.
They're pretty shaken up by it, it wasn't a pretty sight from what I understand, and it's sad. We just hope that he pulls through, everything's okay.
Suffolk officials tell us they believe there was no foul play involved here. Police and OSHA are investigating the incident.
Investigators are still coming to the scene where a train hit a garbage truck. Dozens of members of Congress and their staff members were on board when this happened. The deadly crash happened this morning in Crozet, just outside Charlottesville. The Congress members and their staff were headed to a retreat in West Virginia. Federal investigators are still trying to figure out why the garbage truck was on the tracks when the high-speed train ran straight into it. ABC's Tara Palmieri has the latest from the crash site.
Dozens of Republican lawmakers were on board a chartered Amtrak train when it slammed into a trash truck near a crossing, derailing the train and killing one.
Suddenly there's a loud bang and things stopped. Lights went out. There was an acrid smell of electrical smoke.
There's no question that we hit something. We just didn't know what, of course, at that point.
The politicians were heading from Washington to West Virginia when the collision happened at 11:15 in the morning, just outside of Charlottesville, Virginia.
Mass casualty incident, level 1, train versus truck.
Upon impact, trash and debris littered the area around the tracks.
See how it's stripped it?
North Carolina Representative Mark Walker filmed the stunning moments through the train window. Lawmakers sprang into action, offering first aid to victims. Despite their best efforts, the truck driver died on the scene.
Did CPR for several minutes. Dr. Rowe gave me a look that I don't know where you teach this in medical school, but the look that this is over, Roger. There's nothing else we can do.
One person is in critical condition, but for those on the train, most of the injuries were minor. The NTSB gave an update Wednesday night on the investigation.
We're in the process of retrieving the event recorders. We expect the on-scene phase of the investigation to last several days.
By then, lawmakers were long gone on buses, and the retreat was underway. Minnesota Congressman Jason Lewis has been discharged from the hospital following a concussion. He's joined his colleagues at the retreat in Greenbrier, West Virginia. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, Crozet, Virginia.
2nd District Congressman Scott Taylor was also headed to the retreat at the time of the crash, but he wasn't on the train. He tweeted, hoping and praying for those injured. I'm okay, driving separate.
4 people found a skull on a beach in Perquimans County. The sheriff is still trying to identify who the skull belongs to. Investigators say it could be one of the 2 missing boaters who disappeared in waters nearby. It could also be Kelvin Singleton. We told you about the inmate last year after he escaped from law enforcement. His body was later found headless in Bertie County. 4 Virginia Beach residents found the skull along the Albemarle Sound on Saturday morning.
He was walking up on top of there, and then he just saw just laying there.
If you looked at it closely, you could see that there was some moss on it, like it'd been there for a while.
The medical examiner will now do DNA and dental tests on the skull. The Perquimans County Sheriff tells us it could take weeks to find out the identity.
Big developments today in an animal cruelty case in Newport News that has gotten a lot of attention. A judge dismissed the case against Rick Tavalia, the owner of Coastal Dog Services. Tavalia was facing animal cruelty charges after 2 dogs died at the kennel. The judge dropped the charges in the case of Bruce, a Labrador retriever that died. The judge said Tavalia was not liable for criminal negligence of another employee. Then the judge granted a motion to not press the charges involving the death of another dog, Fenway. There was outrage on social media after Fenway's death and protests outside the kennel. Today, 24 people packed the courtroom in support of Fenway's owner.
It's a tragedy. Well, the charges were dismissed, which means there was never enough evidence against me, and I told you that 6 months ago.
It's a bit frustrating. You know, obviously it's not the outcome that we were looking for today, but I mean, it's part of the process.
That was Jason Fox, Fenway's owner. He tells us his attorney is going to contact the city attorney's office and try to find out what needs to be done to get those charges refiled against Rick Tavalia.